What's up everyone, how you guys doing? And in today's video we're actually going to talk about the most important stats in Genshin Impact. You know when people think about this, they think about, oh, it is crit rate or crit damage, right? Makes a lot of sense because that's the best way to maximize your damage. But in today's video I'm going to tell you what I think is the best stat in Genshin, and that stat is healing bonus. Actually, no, I'm just kidding. It's actually energy recharge. I'm going to talk about why I think energy recharge is the best stat or the most important stat until it isn't. So there is a caveat to that. And we're going to talk about how important it is in team building and also character building. Before we begin, do note that I stream live on Twitch, in the description below, and let's begin. All right, so what's energy recharge? It's basically a multiplier that you multiply onto like the energy that you receive from elemental particles, which are the small one that you get from like your skill, from Favonius, or elemental orbs, which is something that like enemies drop. So basically, if I were to receive 10 energy for furina, for example, right, 10 energy from like the orbs and like the particles, with this energy recharge I will actually receive 16.34 energy. So that's how it will usually work. It does matter whether these are on field and off field. I'm going to show a screenshot of a chart depending on whether you receive particles of the same energy, whether you receive the clear particles from Favonius or particles of a different energy, so on and so forth. It's going to be a screenshot over here. Basically, why is energy important? Well, obviously, energy recharge helps you charge up your ultimate or your elemental burst a lot faster. As we all know, all elemental bursts have a cooldown, right? So in this case, Furina has 60 energy for her burst. So Furina would need to fill up the 60 points to be able to do her ultimate. And the reason why ER is important while looking at characters is building up characters is because all characters or many characters have different ER. Not ER, sorry. The reason why it's important is because different characters have different energy costs. For example, Furina is 60, Tainari, his ultimate is 40, and then if I'm not wrong, Raiden Shogun and Yaemiko have 90 as the highest. So definitely different characters, because they have different costs. That's why you need different ER requirements. So that's very, very important to take note of when you're looking at building a character. I can't say that everyone must slap on 150 and be done with it, right? Because different characters have different amounts. You need to take note of how much you need to build the characters accordingly, right? But of course, you don't always just need to look at the amounts and then build accordingly, right? Okay, so because certain characters are more reliant on their burst than others. And so and so for characters that are very reliant on their burst, where the burst makes out a bulk of the kit, it's something that you really want to look into and then say that, okay, because I want this ultimate to happen on every rotation off cooldown, then I really want to make sure that I have it available, and that's why I put enough energy recharge into it. For example, Bennett, a character that we've all been playing since 1.0, right? His energy, his burst is the main part of his kit because it gives him the healing and also the attack bonus. And so when building Bennett, you know, you're thinking like, okay, I really want to have my ultimate go off every rotation. And so I should really take note of the amount of ER I put into him, right? Another character I could think of is probably like Furina, right? 75% damage bonus from her ultimate. That's a pretty insane number. And so it's really important that for me, as if I want to use Furina, I really want to burst as often as possible off cooldown. And so I really want to make sure that I give her the required energy recharge value. So really, it's really important for us to really take note of these things. And then obviously, what about characters that are not reliant on their burst, right? Where the burst isn't the main part of their kit or the main part of their damage. So I think one very good example of this I can share is about Navia, right? Navia, as we all know, the main part of a kit comes from the special, the ceremonial crystal shot. So and like I said, big damage multipliers, 710%. But as we all know, in order to make it go even higher, is through this mechanic called the crystal shrapnel, right? And there are many ways that she can gain crystal shrapnels, right? And one of the ways is through her ultimate, her burst. All right, her burst does very little damage, right? Her burst scaling is very minuscule. However, the thing about the burst is that once every 2.4 seconds, you are able to generate one crystal shrapnel for her, which means that while the burst doesn't directly generate energy for not energy, while the burst does not directly generate damage for Navia, it indirectly does it because it gives more stacks to her skill, which in turn means more damage. And so I would really want Navia to also burst pretty regularly, right? So that she'll be able to output insane amount of damage. And so yeah, so when we look at the characters and see like what does the burst bring to the character, is it the main part of the kit? Then I'll definitely want them to have it out, right? Or does the burst complement the rest of her kit, just like Navia, how the crystal shrapnels gain really helps Navia in generating more damage for her skill. And so, obviously I can't give you an example for all characters in the game, but looking at character on a per character basis, we're able to actually analyze and determine, okay, yeah, this character, I build this character, I need to be mindful of his or her energy requirements. But then let's move on to team. Let's move on from character building to team building, right? When we look at team building, let's look at one example, right? So earlier I shared the screenshot, I'll share it again. The screenshot of the energy that you gain from particles. And as you notice, right, not because Genshin Impact, you can only have one character on field at any given time, right? You can't have, it's not like Star Rail, where in Honkai Star Rail, you have all 4 characters on field. In Genshin, because only one character is on field, that main character on field will generate or will receive 100% of the energy from the particles. For example, if you receive 10 energy worth of particles, the on-field character will get 10 energy, while if you're in a party of 4, the other 3 off-field characters will only get 60%. It's 70 for 3-man parties and 80% for 2-man parties, but not many people play that. So in a 4-man party, the other 3 members off-field only receive 60%. What that means is that for off-field characters, the energy requirements tend to be a little bit higher because obviously you're not on field to generate as much energy. You can't auto attack. That means you don't get the 1 energy from auto attacking. So definitely it is a requirement for these characters to have a little bit more energy. The most infamous example is, of course, Oppa Xiangling. All right, Xiangling is infamous for having a very high energy requirement because she is mainly an off-field attacker, so she's not able to generate on-field. And even Guoba, which is a skill, is not able to generate a lot of energy for her. And so for Xiangling in particular, you will notice that many people have very high ER builds for her. Most of the time, it's always Emblem or Severed Fate on her because of the free 20 energy. And so Xiangling is definitely a character where the team does impact her ER build. All right, for example, all right, if you were to, for people who have pulled for Mualani, right, one of the best team comps currently is Mualani with Xiangling solo, because Bennett doesn't benefit her because she's an HP scaler. And so Xiangling being the only solo pyro unit, it means that she requires a lot more energy. You'll notice that most people build her with Favonius Lens and at 250 ER because she really needs the energy to be able to burst, because unfortunately, as I mentioned, Guoba isn't cutting it out. So So that's where her energy requirements tend to skyrocket because of because of her being used as a solo pyro character. But now, in most team comps, you will know that Bennett is the character that's recommended because Bennett is able to funnel energy. For those of you who don't understand what funneling is basically when a character uses an ability and then the energy, and then you switch to the next character before you receive the particle, so that the on-field character will get the full 100% of energy. So in this case, most people will want to scale with Bennett, and then before the particles reach Bennett, you switch to Xiangling so that Xiangling gets the 100%. And that's where you can severely reduce the cost of not only Xiangling, but for other characters in dual element, like in double elements setups. So for example, for most electro characters, you will notice that a character like Fischl gets used because Fischl helps a lot in generating energy as well. So Fischl's a very good battery. And of course, I mean, for electro in particular, you have the double electro resonance. So that's really, really nice. But even in double hydro as well, you will see like Neuvillette with Furina. One of the very popular team comps is Xingqiu with Yelan. All right, it helps Yelan's energy requirements as well because they're able to lessen the load, because not only are you able to generate more energy, but because they're of the same element, right, you get 3 points per particle instead of 2 for clear particles for Favonius, or 1 particle costs a different element. And so it really, really helps when you think of your team. Do I go rainbow, that means all 4 different elements, or do I want to put like or do I know that this character has an energy problem and I'm putting a character in or the same element to alleviate the ER issue? And so this video is not really about why energy is important, but why we should take note of energy when building a character. And the reason why this video came out in the first place is because of Xilonen, right? All this time, right, while when I put Xilonen, I was building her up, I kept thinking, what energy recharge requirement should I have on her, right? And as I was thinking to myself, okay, what is Xilonen's main part of the kit, right? Xilonen's main kit is her skill, right, where you get the elemental rest decrease from the skill, from the from the skill, all right? And then the ultimate, which is where the ER would affect the most, is just healing, right? So in general, right, if I don't really, because I mean, healing is good, but I don't need to be healing 24/7. So, you know, I can just maybe not really focus. So I don't really need to focus that much on ER, right? Like, yes, if I want to really, really, if I really want to, so like, if I really want to have her out on off cooldown every time, yes, I can have her on like 170, 180 ER, but without, if I'm okay with not healing every rotation or every time off cooldown, then I can lower my ER requirements for her. So in general, for Xilonen, right, that was what I was thinking. All right, and then a few factors came in when it came to Xilonen. The first one would be, okay, ignore Cinnabar Spindle. I know it's not the best weapon for her, but I just needed defense. All right, so let's say if I want to use Freedom Swan, right? Freedom Swan, you can get the 2 sigils from using 2 for Xilonen is to crystallize twice, one with a skill and one with an ult. And because I need to crystallize with her ult, that means that I need to ult very often. So okay, that means that I need to build ER so that I can crystallize with my ult, so that I can proc the effects of Freedom Swan. So that's one example of maybe changing my ER requirements based on my build. Secondly, right, why do I need healing? Maybe I'm running Furina with her. And because I'm running Furina with Xilonen, right, I know that Furina's pets, the salon members, will drain her HP, drain my team's HP. And so I need healing. Also because to stack the FanFest stacks. And so if I'm running her with Furina, then maybe I do need more ER with Furina, right? And so And so that's really, really important for me, for someone to think about, right? What am I running with my Xilonen? What am I using my Xilonen for? And that is applicable to all characters. Yes, I can have excess of ER, but then that means that there are certain stats that are wasted on other characters, which I'll talk about towards the end of the video, right? So that's really one Xilonen. And so for me in particular, my Xilonen is at 151 ER, which is a lot lesser than like someone that the other guide makers are saying, right? 160, 170, maybe up to 200. But because I'm running her in double geo, right? Earlier I mentioned about how Bennett benefits xiangling. And in this case, Navia and Xilonen benefit each other because Navia is geo as well. Navia has 2 charges on her skill. That means that I'm able to generate particles for Xilonen. Xilonen is also able to generate particles for Navia. And so I think that that's why I can afford to have less ER on Xilonen, because I know that Navia is there to help me out. Maybe I should change it to change my weapon to Favonius, and it's something I want to change to, just that I do not have enough defense to change it to Favonius, admittedly. But going into more detail about this, right? When we look at ER, we can't just look at the character, right? And as I say, I appreciate the guide makers who make videos on this, but it is also important for us to also look at the ER requirements that the team help contribute when you're going through rotations, right? Do I have Bennett on? Maybe I can switch Bennett to Favonius. Maybe I could switch someone else to another weapon, right? My Xilonen is using the Scroll of the Hero of Cinder City, which the 2-piece helps with energy as well. But what if one day I decide to not use the Cinder City set? Maybe I'm using Arcade Petra. Then what happens? I need more ER. So it's really very hard to say that Xilonen just needs this number, full stop. She needs this number if you have this. And that's why I highly encourage players to like play around with their team comps and to also play around with their rotations, right? Maybe if I had higher ER, I wouldn't need to funnel Navia's energy into Xilonen. But maybe if I'm okay running at a lower ER, then I should be more likely to funnel Navia's energy particle into Xilonen, because let's say she's running 140. Maybe that's where I would want to actually funnel more. So that's where like these thoughts have to come in. Like I say, don't just play with a static number that you see from like a website or from a video, right? For me, I played it out. Xilonen works very fine at 151 ER, right? I can probably do a showcase later. Obviously, it's a little bit skewed because I am like almost at full energy. But before I do like a showcase, earlier I mentioned energy recharge is the best stat until it isn't. And so when is it not the best stat? So the first one obviously is for characters who don't need the burst. All right. So best example of this would be Wanderer. Right, Wanderer's burst does nothing for this kit, for the rest of his kit, which the main part of his kit, which is his basics and skill. It is just damage, right? It doesn't really matter that if you burst or not. That's why one of his best is Shimenawa's. The same goes with a character like Yoimiya, for example. Yoimiya doesn't really want, even though you get the damage explosion, it's not really the main part of a kit. Main part of a kit comes from this and vaporize and stuff. So you wouldn't really want to burst much with Yoimiya anyways, and there are obviously some other characters like that, right? So yeah, it's really interesting to actually think about when it comes to character building and team building. Lastly, obviously, is too much ER, right? Because yeah, some characters would want a lot of ER, like Raiden Shogun, because it explicitly says so. But for other characters, right, if you put too much ER, that means that those roles could have gone somewhere else, but it didn't. All right, because let's remember that in Genshin Impact, ER can also be a substat. So you keep putting your substats into your substats or even your main stat into ER, you are actually sacrificing some offensive stats, which can be very hurt, can hurt a lot of characters, especially DPS characters. So for example, right, my furina, let's say if I sacrifice like 10 crit rate, 20 crit damage, and I give her like 200 plus ER, but I don't need it. I can run fine with 163.4 ER because I use Flu Sondra, which gives me another 32 for 5 seconds after using my skill. So I am perfectly fine with using with this amount, right? But let's say if I were to change my sense to an ER sense, right? So I sacrificed 7k HP for ER that I don't really need, right? This ER that I don't need, right? I have excess of like 40 ER, right? But I sacrifice 7k HP, which means that I do less damage. And so it is a net negative in that case, because yeah, I sacrificed my stats. I sacrificed my stats for ER when I didn't need them, because I understand two things, right? First and foremost, energy. First and foremost, you can only use your abilities off cooldown. So if you have so much ER that you get your burst back, but because it is not off cooldown, you can't use it, then you're wasting time, because that time, or like that, let's say you have 8 seconds left, the 8 seconds could have been used to slowly get back energy, which means that you don't need the energy recharge to give you that energy instead, whereas you can have gotten it with time. And secondly, of course, because you're sacrificing your stats, that means that you're just doing less damage, right? For Furina, for example, right? Yes, her burst is important, but so is her skill, because the Salon members do quite a bit of damage. And so hopefully, as you look at this, you'll be able to understand why even though ER is important, you shouldn't overbuild into ER. All right. But hopefully with this video, I'll give you a better example of why ER is important in terms of character building. Because obviously when you really want to build your characters and your team, right, you really want to be able to use your abilities comfortably without any setbacks or any drawbacks. So you're going to use this as an example. Obviously, I have full energy on Xilonen and Navia, but I'm going to just do a rotation with this team and show you how with this energy, even though it is slightly lower for like characters like Furina and Xilonen on paper, but it really works in giving out enough energy for everyone. So I'm going to start with this. I'm going to start with this. I'm going to start with this. All right, I already have my burst. Xilonen's going to ult, and then Bennett's going to skill, and I can ult. Maybe I should have Bennett skill first, so maybe that could have been optimized a lot better. But now, yeah, now I'm just in a groove. Right, 237k damage. That's pretty nice, right? Now I can ult again, and you can see my Xilonen has ult back again. Don't need Favonius, right? And I'm fine. And I think this is just an example. And obviously, I don't really play well while talking, so ignore if I'm playing badly, right? But yeah, you can see I'm doing pretty well. My energy is fine, right? Maybe the only mistake I made was that I should have done the special with Bennett to get energy, so I didn't have to waste a little bit of time. But yeah, you know, when it comes to energy, play around, try it out. If you don't hit the number that you see on the guide, maybe there are some ways you could play around in helping complement the other characters. And so, yeah, really hope that you learn something about this video, learn something about energy recharge. Don't just chase the number, but also be able to play around with the with funneling and stuff like that, and play around with the team, right? In the end, it's all about the feels instead of the numbers when it comes to a game like Genshin Impact. All right, and so hopefully this video helps you out quite a bit. Do like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and leave it in the comments below anything that I missed. Obviously, I didn't talk about like flat energy and stuff. I did talk about it at the beginning, but yeah. But let me know if there's anything that I've missed. Do also note that I stream live on Twitch. Link down the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe. Be good to yourselves and the people around you. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.